The San Francisco 49ers are standing at one of the most dangerous crossroads of the Kyle Shanahan era, and most fans don't even realize how close this franchise is to getting it completely wrong, because while everyone is arguing about quarterbacks, injuries, or whether the Super Bowl window is still open, the real battle is happening quietly behind closed doors in the defensive coordinator search. And this is not just about replacing a name on a headset. This is about whether the 49ers defense remains a championship-level unit or slowly collapses into a middle-of-the-pack liability that wastes elite talent for years. Because history has already shown us exactly what happens when this role is mishandled. And Robert Saleh is the perfect example of why this decision matters so much. Since when Saleh took over, the 49ers didn't just improve. They transformed their entire identity, turning raw talent into an aggressive, disciplined, fast, and feared defense that dictated games rather than reacting to them. And that is the standard now, whether fans admit it or not. So whoever steps into this role is not just filling shoes, they are stepping into a pressure cooker where anything less than dominance will be viewed as failure. And that is why the rumors swirling around this DC search should not be treated as casual off-season chatter, because this hire will quietly decide whether the 49ers are still playing meaningful football in January 2 or 3 years from now, or whether we look back and say this was the moment everything started slipping. And the first problem is that the 49ers roster is built to win now, not later, with expensive stars on defense, aging veterans, and contracts that demand immediate return, which means a developmental or conservative coordinator is a luxury this team cannot afford. And yet that is exactly the type of hire many teams make when they prioritize comfort, familiarity, or loyalty over results. And that is the real danger here, because Kyle Shanahan has always valued trust and continuity, sometimes to a fault. And while that philosophy has helped create stability, it also risks producing safe hires that don't evolve with the league. And the NFL has changed fast. Offenses are more spread, quarterback are quicker, motion is constant, and defenses that don't innovate get exposed. And if the next DC simply copies old schemes without adapting, the 49ers will start losing games they used to dominate, not because the talent disappeared, but because the system stopped scaring anyone. And this is where the one-hire idea becomes critical, because the wrong coordinator won't fail loudly at first. They will fail slowly, with missed tackles, blown coverages, third and long conversions, and late-game collapses that fans will blame on players when the real issue is structural. And that is why insiders keep stressing that this search is far more complicated than just finding a big name or a former head coach, because the real question is philosophical. Does Shanahan want someone who challenges him or someone who agrees with him? Does he want aggression or control? Does he want to disguise pressure or play bend, don't break? Because each of those choices reshapes the entire defense, from how linebackers are used to how corners are protected. And one bad philosophical choice can neutralize elite players, turning Pro Bowlers into average contributors. And that is not theoretical. We've seen it happen across the league. And if you think the 49ers are immune, you're ignoring reality. Because even elite franchises collapse when coordinator decisions go wrong. And another uncomfortable truth is that the league now has tape on the 49ers, years of it, and the mystique that once surrounded their defense has faded. Meaning the next DC must bring either innovation or unpredictability, not just competence. And that is why insiders are warning that this hire could either extend the Super Bowl window or quietly slam it shut. Because see if the defense regresses even slightly, the margin for error disappears, especially in a conference loaded with explosive offenses. And fans need to understand this is not about winning 10 or 11 games. This is about beating elite teams in the playoffs, and playoff football punishes predictable defenses, and the wrong coordinator will be exposed when it matters most. Not in September, but in January, when adjustments decide everything. And here's the part that should make fans uneasy: the 49ers don't just need a coordinator who can coach stars. They need one who can develop replacements, because roster turnover is coming whether people like it or not. And a DC who relies purely on talent rather than teaching will leave the cupboard empty, forcing the front office into panic moves, overpaying in free agency, and slowly eroding roster flexibility, which again traces back to one hire. And this is why the word exposed is appropriate, because what's being exposed is not just candidates, but organizational priorities. Does San Francisco want to stay elite through structure and development? Or do they want to gamble on short-term reputation? And that decision will echo through draft rooms, contract negotiations, and even Shanahan's own legacy, because coaches are ultimately judged by rings, not win totals. And if this hire fails, the narrative will shift fast. From the 49ers are always contenders to the 49ers miss their window. And that is not media exaggeration. That is hot. The NFL works. And the scariest part is that fans may not realize the damage until it's irreversible, until the defense is no longer feared, until leads feel fragile, until every late-game stop feels unlikely. And by then, the opportunity is gone, and that is why this D-search is not just another off-season storyline. It is the hinge point of the next era of 49ers football, because one hire will determine whether this team stays aggressive, adaptable, and dominant, or slowly becomes predictable. When people rooter though, when the woody not you're made the remade the one of the those have then we want the feather, the one way the one that's leads to championships.